On the 13th of October 1972, the Fairchild F-227 aircraft carried a youthful rugby team across the formidable Andes Mountains as they laughed and sang, unaware that the jagged peaks were about to collide. The right wing suddenly sheared against the icy cliff face, causing the fuselage to twist and shatter in a horrific scream of metal that sent the plane spiraling down into the freezing abyss. Silence descended upon the snow-covered wreckage as the survivors emerged from the broken cabin into the bitter cold, staring in disbelief at the desolate landscape that had become their unexpected grave. As night fell, the temperature plummeted and the shivering group huddled within the mangled hull of the aircraft, trying to seal the gaps against the howling wind that threatened to extinguish their final spark. Morning light reflected blindingly off the vast expanse of snow, and one desperate survivor crafted makeshift sunglasses from shattered window glass to protect his vision from the lethal intensity of the mountain glare. They gathered in a tight circle to inventory their meager supplies of chocolate and wine, rationing every morsel with agonizing precision, while the gnawing hunger tightened its relentless grip on their fragile spirits. The crackling radio finally broadcast a message that shattered their last shred of hope as the announcer declared that the search for the missing flight had been officially abandoned, leaving them completely forsaken. A thunderous avalanche roared down the slopes in the dead of night, burying the wreckage under tons of frozen earth and trapping the living in a suffocating prison of darkness and despair. Cutting through the frozen walls with frantic hands, the survivors broke back into the daylight, only to realize that their wreckage was a tiny speck of debris lost in an infinite ocean of mountain peaks. With no hope remaining and the icy grip of starvation tightening, they faced the unthinkable decision to consume the frozen remains of their fallen friends to sustain their own flickering lives. Two men stepped out from the wreckage wrapped in layered scraps of fabric and started their long trek toward the west, determined to cross the towering wall of mountains and find a path to safety. Clinging to the sheer ice walls with frost-bitten fingers, they hauled themselves up the treacherous slopes, refusing to let the biting wind or the dizzying heights break their iron will. After 70 days of suffering, they reached a lush valley where a river flowed like a miracle and a local shepherd appeared on the horizon, signaling the end of their torturous journey. The deafening roar of military helicopters finally broke the silence above the crash site as rescuers descended to lift the weary survivors from the wreckage and carry them back to the world of the living. Tears flowed freely as the broken survivors embraced their families, while the heavy transport helicopters climbed high into the sky, leaving the silent ruins of the aircraft to be reclaimed by the mountains. Back in the safety of the hospital, the survivors found themselves walking the halls as ghosts of their former selves, their feet bandaged and their eyes still hauntingly fixed on the distant peaks. Years later, a lone survivor climbed back to the hallowed ground where his friends were laid to rest and placed a single flower upon the snow to honor the souls who remained forever in the ice. The golden sun dipped behind the jagged Andes, casting long shadows over the landscape as the wind erased the last human footprints, leaving the silent wilderness to hold its ancient and frozen eternity.